Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. I'm making this particular video to show you how to do a Damond Motorsport Oil Catch can installation video. Now just in case I had done recordings like yesterday and then for some reason this camera did not record hardly of anything when I wanted to record, and the other camera was in an unsupported format at the time and it also wasn't very good footage. So I'm going to be doing it again. But because I've already done it before, I'm able to give you a more comprehensive guide on how to get everything in there. So hopefully you enjoy. Here are some of the tools that you will need. You're going to need wire cutters for the zip ties that came with the kit. I will not be using this as I will not be using the drain tube or the zip ties. You're going to want a T27 size star screwdriver or a bit just to get one part of the car on and off during the installation. You'll also want a 1/4 inch drive or a bit of some kind, as you'll be using this on the hose clamps. You can also use a flathead. A 10mm drive or a wrench to affix the catch can to the car. You'll mostly be using the wrench, especially if you have a small one, because the area is a bit tight to get to. Lastly, if applicable, you're going to want some kind of drive or a handle that allow you to get some grip for some of the parts. Alright, so the contents include, you've got some zip ties for the black drain tube. I won't be using these in this video as I don't have a means of raising my car like that right now, so I just won't be using that piece. It also comes with 2 hoses. This one has an inline check valve, which is really nice to have, and I like that they even included it with this entire kit. It's very well made and very nicely done. Of course, the second hose, this one doesn't have a check valve, but that's alright. We only needed the one anyway, and you'll see where these go on later in the video. The 2 hose clamps that will be put on the side without the quick connect fittings. This is to secure it to the oil catch can. They were nice enough to send me a few stickers. Whenever I order parts for my car, I usually like to ask for some stickers because I like them. They add a little flair to your car if you're into that. Next is the mounting bracket that secures the catch can to the car. It also comes with a high strength bolt. This is to secure the bracket to the can. The nut that is included is to make sure that you can secure the bracket to the car. The next part is for the bottom. It's to drain the oil from the can. You can put the black tube on the fitting of the bottom. I won't be doing this again as I don't have a means to be jacking it up. And then that goes on the bottom there. And of course, it comes with the catch can itself. You kind of need this. Now for those of you who are a little bit paranoid or concerned about vibrations in the car, you can always use thread lock on the different nuts and bolts and all that stuff that it comes with. You can opt for the heavy duty red, or you can opt for a more medium strength blue. I will be using the blue because I used the red beforehand and it just felt a little bit too intense for me, that's all. But for those of you who really want to make sure it's nice and sturdy in there, you can go ahead and use the red. One of the first things that you want to do is take the L bracket and the bolt that was included. Mount the bracket so the small section is on the threaded side. Make sure that the long side is behind the brand logo. You can choose to have the bracket on the top or the bottom hole. For my purposes, I went with the bottom hole. The next thing that you want to do is put the plastic fitting on the bottom if you plan to use the drain kit. Again, I will not, as I don't have the means to jack up my car high enough to really show you guys how to put it all together and where to route it. But for those of you who do plan to use it and drain it, I very highly suggest to go ahead and put this on there now. Alright, one of the first things that you're going to want to do is we're going to take the T27 star bit and we're going to go ahead and unscrew this bolt right here. Now one thing that you can optionally do is instead of unbolting that, you can actually just plop off this electrical sensor connector right here. I decided to take off the whole thing because it makes it a lot easier down the road, because once you unscrew that, you just plop that off. Then after you're done doing that, you're going to want to go ahead and disconnect this harness right here. It should be easy enough, just put your thumb on tab and pull. We're going to put that to the side for later on. Alright, so now we're ready to go ahead and start taking stuff off of the engine. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take this tube off right here. You're going to want to pull on the front part of the plastic because as you pull on that, the rest of it will just kind of just plop right off. It took me a second to get mine off because I didn't really tug hard enough. Alright, after you remove the bottom section, you're going to want to take this off of the metal mount. You're probably going to break that little bit right there because that was wedged in there, but you don't really have to worry about this because you're probably not going to be using this piece anymore, and even if you are, it's not too much of a loss. You can zip tie it. After that, you plop off the top, and it's all set to go. So now we're ready to go ahead and get rid of this piece. You can just toss it aside if you want, but I advise holding on to it just in case you go back to stock. Alright, next up we're going to go ahead and take the catch can. We're going to put it on that metal nub that's sticking out in the rear on the left side of the engine. It's pretty hard to miss. We're going to take the nut and start threading it in. Just in case, it'll probably take a minute to get this in there, and it's going to be a little bit of a cramped space, so give it some time and be careful with it. There's no need to rush this part. Once you're done threading it, it'll be nice and sturdy, and now you can move on to the next step. Now we're going to take a hose clamp and we're going to run it down this particular tube. As you can see here, this tube is the one without the check valve. Run it slightly underneath the coolant tank. You're just going to want to push it a little bit and run it to the catch can itself. This hose will be attaching to the bottom port of the catch can. Once you've done that, you're going to take the side with the quick connect fitting onto the top side of the engine. Make sure that when you put it in, you're going to hear the click so you know it's completely attached. When you finish that, the tube should look routed like this. Then take the cables that we disconnected earlier and just put them over the tube for later. Now, using the 1/4-inch drive or flathead screwdriver, we will go ahead and tie the hose clamp down. I like the 1/4-inch drive personally because it makes it easier to tighten down and you don't slip off as often as you would with a flathead. Make sure while you're tightening down the hose clamp that you don't do what I did and despite using a 1/4-inch drive you let your screwdriver fall into the engine bay. I did this, and in this footage I am actually actively stuck, and I have very small arms. So for those of you with actual muscles or meat on your bones, try not to do this, because it kind of hurts when you have to force your hand out. It just sucks. Alright, next up we have the next tube. We're going to do the same thing. Put the hose clamp on the tube with the check valve, and we're going to mount it right here to the top side of the catch can. Then we're going to take the side with the quick connect fitting, we're going to put it on the bottom side of the engine. Once again, make sure that you hear the 2 clicks when attaching it so you know it's completely secure. When you're done routing everything, it should look like this. I accidentally did it backwards earlier, so I had to take mine back out and then reroute them again. But as you can see, the top side will route underneath both the wires and the tube with the check valve. So here I am, just go ahead and reconnect that and make sure it's all nice and secure. Just like the last hose clamp, we're going to take the 1/4-inch drive or flathead screwdriver and we're going to go ahead and tighten it down to the top side of the catch can. Make sure not to get your screwdriver stuck this time. Alright, we're nearly done. Now we're going to go ahead and take the cables that we disconnected earlier in the video and we're going to reconnect them. So just in case, make sure that the wires are over the top side tube. And then we're going to take this and plug that back in. Now using the T27, we're going to go ahead and screw this back in as well. Make sure it's nice and tight because this is OEM. Last thing you want is to have this disconnect and then everything goes haywire. Once you're done with that, now you can look at your glorious engine bay and you're nearly set to go for the auto salon and car shows. Now the final step for those who like to cover up all those wires is to just go ahead and place the engine cover back on. Once this is placed on and you make sure it's secure, you are done with the installation. Now doesn't that look like a sexy engine bay? Alright everybody, thank you very much for watching. For those of you stuck around to the end, I hope you liked the video. If you liked it, please give it a like. If you didn't like it, by all means give it a dislike. I've got no problems with that. Share it if you like. This is the very first time I've ever done anything like this before in terms of video and stuff like that, so I really hope that this was useful for you. This was just the Damond Motorsport kit, but there's a lot others. Like there's Mishimoto, Boomba, Damond of course, there's a couple others. If you go to fiestastforum.com, fiestast.org, all the other Fiesta ST forums and stuff like that, you'll find plenty of them over there. So hopefully this helped you out. Again, y'all have a nice day.